innovative content, global audience.
Good morning. This is our health. Of course, where I bring you things that borders on your health, my health, and our health. Like the saying, health is wealth. So we need to take cognizance of the things that are affecting or anything that has to do with our health. And today my topic is self-medication. Now, what does that mean when people self-medicate? It means when somebody takes drugs or take any herbs on their own initiative or the advice of another person without consulting an expert or a doctor or a pharmacist. And of course, today I have with me on the show from Peter EJ. How are you doing this morning?
I'm very fine.
Good morning. You're welcome to the show.
KESSY. Good morning.
Yes, viewers, like I said on our head today, I have with me a pharmacist to dissect this issue. You know how it is here, especially in this part of the world when people just feel like I have a headache, I have malaria, no need to see a doctor. There's a pharmacy close by. I'll go there, I get the medication, and I have it done. And there's need also to see a doctor or a pharmacist, an expert when it comes to things that affect your health. And that is why I have with me here Dr. Pharmacy Peter. You're welcome this morning.
Thank you.
Now we'll kickstart immediately when you hear the word. But before we go, let me ask you, when we talk about self-medication and drug abuse, what is the difference?
Well, good morning, Princess KESSY. Good morning, listeners. The topic today is actually a very important topic.
Thank you.
Will a lot of people out there have access to medication, and it's unfortunate that there is this easy access to medications in our country. So people tend, because of the easy access to medication, people tend to use drugs wrongly and in the process abuse them. So self-medication, like you earlier mentioned, is having to take medicines or drugs without the actual prescription of a medical expert, in this case a doctor or a pharmacist. A lot of people just tell their friends, you can take this. When I had such a situation, this was what I took, and when my daddy or my mommy had the same situation, this is what I took, and then they go ahead to take this same medication. So in the broad sense or in the simpler sense, that's what self-medication is about.
So is it the same thing as drug abuse?
No, drug abuse. Drug abuse has to do with using. It might be a prescribed drug actually, but using the drug not for the purpose for which it was prescribed.
Okay, now that is very confusion, and that was a little bit confusing. I decided to know that before we move forward. Now, when we hear the word self-medicating, a lot of people, we live in a part of the world where, like you said, we have access to pharmacists. Like you just go to the next street and you get yourself whatever it is. And of course, we live in a country where people, most of the, I'm going to blame you people on that. Most of the pharmacies, the chemist shop we go to, they don't even ask for prescription. Sometimes they just gotcha this medication. Now, what does it mean for people to self-medicate? And tell us about it in a broader sense.
Okay, thank you. Before you are quick to blame pharmacists, there are classes of drugs actually. There are the over-the-counter drugs, call them OTC drugs. For such medications, you actually do not need
a prescription for that. Okay.
And then we have prescription medications and poisons. For those ones,
poisons?
Yes.
I never heard that word in medicine before.
Yes, we have poisons.
Okay. But, people take those even on prescription.
Yeah. Basically, all drugs are poisons.
Okay.
What actually differentiates its efficacious dose from its lethal dose, or its lethal efficacious effect, or its lethal effect is the dose.
Okay.
So, but then there are a designated class of medications that we call poisons.
Okay.
And those medications, if you go to the pharmacy, you'll find a poison box.
Okay.
And those medications have to strictly be dispensed with a valid prescription. Okay. And this also comes with a poisons register where all the details of whoever has prescribed that medication or who is collecting the amount of the medication given, the hospital facility where that prescription is coming from, and all relevant information are documented there.
Okay.
So, but that's poisons. That's a topic for another day. Yeah. But people often abuse or misuse medications that they have access to, especially the over-the-counter drugs. some of those common medications, cough
Okay.
syrup, you know. somebody
Yes,
just-
because I had a show where I talked about drug abuse. We talked about the cough syrup, codeine, tramadol, why a lot of youths are involved in taking that these days to get higher for one reason or the other. But when we talk about self-medicating, why do you think people self-medicate?
People can self-medicate for a number of reasons, like a frequent occurrence of a disease or a condition.
A condition.
Yeah, it's a factor. Like I earlier mentioned in the introductory statement, where I said, okay, my friend had flu and he took this. So now that I'm down with flu,
I'll take
it's
it.
just natural to take what my friend took. And in some families, of course, leftover medications where the mother took paracetamol while she had headache and she didn't finish the paracetamol. So it is just natural for somebody else within the same household to go and take the same paracetamol. After all, that was what mommy used, you know. So frequency of disease can actually cause somebody to self-medicate. Another factor would be access to healthcare, to healthcare facility. For example, the whole bottlenecks with having to go to a hospital, buy a card, queue to see a doctor. Most cases, the doctors would recommend the tests, and all this comes with attendant costs too. In each stage, you may be paying some money. So why go through that stress to, you know, before I have access to medication, I can just simply walk to a pharmacy and get my medication. So that's another factor why somebody might.
Yes, because I remember I had a neighbor then that had injuries in the leg. And then the thing was so painful, the doctor actually prescribed a particular drug for him. And I think once he takes that drug, the pains comes down. And after a while, the pains comes up. He wants to take another. And the wife will always fight that. But the doctor said this is 8 hours or we have to wait. And then he just wants to keep taking every 2 hours. Once the pains is up, he just wants to take not even 1, but 2, 3 just to suppress that pain. So is this what you refer to as self-medicating?
Well, in this particular scenario that you've mentioned, the drug was actually prescribed.
Okay.
Right? It was actually prescribed, but the patient is not adhering.
Okay.
That is not self-medication.
Okay.
In this case, that is now drug abuse.
Okay.
Or misuse, as it were.
Okay.
Because all medications have a specific duration of action.
Okay.
And they are supposed to last for a particular, their effect is supposed to last for a particular duration. And so where a person is taking the drug frequently, more frequently than it was actually prescribed, in some cases 8 hourly, in some cases 12 hourly, in some cases 1 daily.
1 daily.
Or that's 24 hours. Now, if a person is taking that drug prescribed, then it's misuse. And there are a lot of factors that might come into play, or maybe the reason for this. It could be that the patient is not responding to that medication at that dose. And of course, in such situations, the right thing to do would be to go back
to see
the medical
the
facility, see the prescriber, and lay a new complaint. In most cases, that drug would likely be changed or the dose modulated to suit the patient's need. But if the patient is not going back to the doctor to lay this complaint for these adjustments to be made, then it becomes a problem. And this is primarily where drug addiction or substance dependence comes in from.
Wow. Now we talk about over-counter drugs and all that. Most self-medication drugs are over the counter.
Yes.
Is this even illegal or legal? Let's go there.
Well, in developed countries, especially for antibiotics, you do not have that easy access to antibiotics. In fact, you find out people here, maybe they're traveling to the US or the UK, you find that they stock these medications and travel with them in sometimes.
That is because I know somebody that is in the diaspora that once made mention when he told me he wasn't feeling well, he has a headache, he has this. I'm like, okay, just get yourself paracetamol, something to cool it off. That you don't do that here. You go through a process here. You don't just buy things like in Nigeria. You access pharmacies anywhere just to swallow up and down. So that is some of the difference.
Exactly. So of course, here we have laws that guide access to these medications. The enforcement of these laws
It's not the problem.
It's another thing altogether. Let's not go there. But these laws are in place, these policies are in place, even though poorly enforced, even though the Pharmacist Council of Nigeria are really up on their toes to enforce, especially the dispense of these poisons or easy access to these poisons. So, but by and large, these drugs are actually easy to access over the counter, especially for antibiotics. And it has actually caused a problem for us today. It has brought in antibiotic resistance and a whole lot of other problems.
Okay, since we're talking about access to medication, sometimes so access to experts could be another issue.
Yes.
We have communities where people are not able to reach out to experts.
Yeah.
Where getting some of this medication will just be the only way out for them. Now, to that effect, is it good, or how would you say that?
Well, self-medication has its own
advantage. That is why I want us to go to.
Yes, it has its own.
If it is good, to what extent?
Well, an advantage of it would be that you are not in a very critical stage before presenting to the hospital. Okay. So it's not like self-medication on its own or on the overall is completely bad. No, of course, some first aid. First aid is also self-medication. For example, you have a cut, you decide to apply a tourniquet before you go to a hospital where it is well attended to. That is also a part of self-medication. And in these cases, it gives the patient ample time to present to the hospital for professional care to now be administered. So self-medication on its own is not entirely wrong. It has its own advantages. But where a lot of people do it and over without having to seek the second opinion of a professional, that makes it bad or wrong.
Okay, now let's go to antibiotics. This is where we have, I know a lot of people, they self-medicate a lot in that aspect. Anything that has to, any illness that is associated with where you have to take antibiotics. For instance, we know a lot of people have maybe infections, they have typhoid, they have a lot of things, and the next thing they tell you. Now, I've seen people over the years, they don't, once they have that symptom, they just believe this is typhoid, this is this, and they don't even want to run a test, they don't go to the lactation, they don't go to anybody, they just come up with this. Now, when we talk about self-medication, should we make antibiotics exceptional?
In fact, I'm happy that you're bringing this up because antibiotic stewardship has been a topic in the healthcare sector that a lot of attention is being channeled towards it now. It's gaining a lot of attention. And this is because a lot of people have had easy access to antibiotics, and over time, it has complicated issues. So with antibiotics, there is it's not the same like just taking the normal paracetamol or just taking normal pain medication. No, it goes a long way because the long-term effects of self-medicating with antibiotics
could
be dangerous. That is the truth about it. So antibiotics has to be taken with the prescription of a licensed medical practitioner.
A license. I love that word.
There is no two ways about it. No two ways about it. And the reasons why a prescriber or a medical expert would prescribe an antibiotic would have come from a whole lot of reasons, a whole lot of processes. There is the empirical treatment where, of course, the patient is presenting with some symptoms, and the professional, based on the presenting symptoms, would prescribe an antibiotic. But that does not rule out the place of medical tests or laboratory investigations. And in most cases, where
viewers, will go on a quick break, and when we return, we'll continue. Stay with us.
NRTV London, in partnership with NTA TV Enterprise, present the maiden edition of the Nigerian Week in the capital of the world, London. A wonderful blend of entertainment, business, and networking, displaying a wide range of arts, national cash crops, financial products and services, and real estate for huge extra opportunity in diaspora. Look no further. The 36 states of the Federation, the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture, Trade and Investment, the Nigerian Film Corporation, and host of others will be in attendance. Date 15th to 21st of May 2023. Venue Lighthouse, Camberwell, Southeast London. For details, log on www.superiorradiotelevision.com/Nigerian Week or call +447 549 513 619 or +234 814 358 2856. The Nigerian Week, celebrating the best of Nigeria from the rest.
Back from that quick break here today on our health, the topic here is self-medication. Now, why do you think people self-medicate? And our third point, should people take medication without with prescription or without prescription? Of course, I have with me here in the studio live from Peter. You were just talking about antibiotics and how people should use or should not use them.
Yes. I was saying that antibiotics, when it comes to prescribing antibiotics, a lot of processes are involved, and this is basically anchored by the licensed health expert.
Okay.
A doctor, a pharmacist, and the prescription of an antibiotic mostly, even though at the initial stage may be empirical, like the empirical prescription where there is no lab test involved, a doctor can actually prescribe an antibiotic and have the patient take the antibiotic pending the outcome of laboratory investigations. And in cases where the results of the lab investigations are in line with the already prescribed antibiotics, the patient can go ahead. But where the patient, where the isolated microorganisms, what's responsible for that condition are different from what the prescribed antibiotic can handle, then there is always a switch to the appropriate antibiotic. So it is not encouraged or is not advised for people to self-medicate, especially with antibiotics. They need that input of the professional to do that.
Now, talking about self-medication, a lot of youths, this is more common among the youths. I don't know for whatever reason, but I know, like I give you an instance. Yesterday, I went to the pharmacist. I ran a test. I saw a doctor. He prescribed, and I went to the pharmacist. But now when I got there, I just brought a paper because the paper is almost A4 where the doctor wrote on, because I didn't go to the hospital. He was driving down, so he just parked and he wrote for me. And then I had to mistakenly gave the paper, the test result to she's a pharmacist. Yes. And she said, these symptoms, was that why you went to do the test? What were the symptoms? So I told her about that. I already saw an expert said I should get this. And I said, well, okay, you're already here. I'm always very curious. And why are you sounding that way? And she said, not really something serious, but let's just clear it off. Okay, at what point should someone run a test, or at what point do we need to see an expert? Because people think that sometimes you don't necessarily need to go through this process. This is just minor. You can just go to the nearest pharmacy shop and just get yourself these drugs. But if you don't run the test, how do you know to what extent you are having whatsoever you have in your system? Now, these are some of the issues. Why do you think it's common when we talk about self-medicating? It's more common around the youth. And sometimes when you go to the labs we're familiar with, you see elderly people running tests. Well, how do you see the youth? They just feel, this thing is just malaria typhoid. Let me just take this thing.
Well, it's unfortunate that it's happening like this. And like I said earlier, it's all about enforcement of existing policies and laws. Ideally, before any antibiotic is prescribed, there should be a backing test result justifying that antibiotic.
Okay.
So let's go towards antibiotics a little bit. They are actually narrow spectrum antibiotics.
Now you're going to bring it down to a layman's language.
Of course, I'm going to do that. Now, the narrow spectrum antibiotics have a particular range of microorganisms that they can eradicate.
Okay.
While the broad spectrum have a broader range. The gram-negative, the gram-positive can be handled by the broad spectrum. And most times where a laboratory test has not been conducted, the prescriber would prefer to go for a broad spectrum because at that point of the prescription, he is not sure what microorganism is causing this infection. Okay. So he would want to do a broad spectrum, something that can handle it all through. But where the lab test is out and then a particular organism is identified, then it's just wise to go down to the narrow spectrum, the particular one that is specific for these microorganisms or that can eradicate the microorganisms.
Now, hold that thought. We'll go on another quick break. And when we return, viewers, we'll continue. Doctor is still here telling us, our pharmacist Peter is still here telling us some of the do's and don'ts when it comes to self-medicating. Don't go anywhere. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
RTV London, in partnership with NTA TV Enterprise, present the maiden edition of the Nigerian Week in the capital of the world, London. A wonderful blend of entertainment, business, and networking, displaying a wide range of arts, national cash crops, financial products and services, and real estate for huge extra opportunity in diaspora. Look no further. The 36 states of the Federation, the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture, Trade and Investment, the Nigerian Film Corporation, and host of others will be in attendance. Date 15 to 21st of May 2023. Venue Lighthouse, Camberwell, Southeast London. For details, log on www.superiorradiotelevision.com/Nigerian Week or call +447.
Ladies, are you ready to shine? Here's a golden opportunity for you to show the world the queen in you, as the second edition of Face of SRTV Ladies Edition is about to begin. What are you waiting for? Register online with just 500 naira and stand a chance of winning a cash prize of 100,000 naira and the deal of becoming our ambassador. There will also be consolation prizes for second and third place winners. To register, kindly pay the registration fee and send your name, age, picture, and state of origin to this number 0906 895 2170. For more inquiries, please call 0907 400 7816. Powered by SRTV London, the face of SRTV, who takes the crown.
RTV London, in partnership with NTA TV Enterprise, present the maiden edition of the Nigerian Week in the capital of the world, London. A wonderful blend of entertainment, business, and networking, displaying a wide range of arts, national cash crops, financial.
From that quick break, and this is our health. I'm here with pharmacist Peter, and of course today's topic is self-medication. Now, at what point do you go on self-medication? And I was just about asking you before that break, Peter, pharmacist Peter, now, do you think self-medication can actually lead to addiction of a particular drugs?
Of course, definitely. Self-medication can cause addiction, especially if the drug involved is one of those drugs that can cause addiction.
Okay.
You cannot talk about addiction with antibiotics, of course, but especially with the pain medications.
Okay.
Especially with the pain medication, a lot of those pain medications are liable to abuse.
Because people just want to stay above the pains.
Because when it comes to pain, the key thing in pain management is just
to get relief
the pain. Even if the infection is there, even if the trouble is there,
it's just for the pains to go away.
So people go to extra lengths just to do anything, to have access to any kind of drug that can just take them off the pain. And it's this effort, or this, as I don't know the word to use right now, but this drive to just seeing that I'm out of pain,
out of the pains,
causes people to go into drugs that cause addiction, especially when the over-the-counter drugs that are used in managing pain are not giving the desired effect. For example, diclofenac or ibuprofen is an over-the-counter drug, and it is used in managing pain.
Pains.
Even though its excessive use has its own problems because it can predispose someone to peptic ulcer disease.
Okay.
Of course. So, but they are not, they don't have that tendency to cause a dependence or addiction. So, but where a patient is taking that diclofenac and he's not getting that desired pain relief, you want to step it up to something more. And therapeutically is accepted.
Okay.
Even in the hospital, the doctor can step it up to something else that has much more a central effect.
Okay.
But most of those drugs of abuse, especially analgesics, have CNS effects. They are the opioids and all those other classes of them, where tramadol and the rest of them comes in.
Okay.
Now, those drugs have better pain relieving effect, but then they bind to specific receptors in the brain that now cause addiction.
Wow.
So, of course, the analgesics can cause addiction, especially this class of analgesics that I just mentioned. So their use or their use, of course, has to now come strictly by a licensed prescriptions, and they are not used extensively over a very long duration of time. Most times they are just short course prescriptions.
Now, at what point, doctor, we know that when people self-medicate, especially when it comes to antibiotics, you see that they become resistant at some point.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Yes. These microorganisms that we talk about that are responsible for infections, they are living things.
Okay.
And so they have ability to, and okay, let me digress a bit. Antibiotics basically have two major ways they act.
Okay.
They are the bactericidal ones, those ones that have the ability to kill an organisms. And then there's the bacteriostatic ones. Those ones don't really kill the microorganism. They just reduce its ability to replicate.
Okay.
So I was saying that these microorganisms are living things.
Okay.
They also are trying to struggle to survive. And so if you expose them to an agent that has ability to kill them or make their replication or suppress their replication, they would have already they will find a way to resist that effect, and that's where resistance comes in. So these microorganisms, some of them they change their DNA, some of them they emit substances that can denature the drug and render it powerless. Some of them they just create another coat around them such that the drugs is not able to bind to specific receptors on their cell walls. Yeah, so it's a whole lot mechanisms by which drug resistance can come. So it's actually a whole lot of process and different things that these microorganisms do. And so the key thing there is this: if you challenge an organism with a particular medication, you should ensure that you are challenging it with the right dose, with the right drug, and for the right duration of time.
So the duration is very important because we live in a country where somebody has symptoms, pains, and once the test stops, they stop taking. They tell you, yes.
So with antibiotics, that is what has led us to this issue of resistance that we're talking about. Like you just mentioned, somebody probably just has diarrhea. He walks into a pharmacy, gets tetracycline or Flagyl, metronidazole as it is, and just takes, and the diarrhea stops, and then he abandons it.
That is it. Well,
if you check, you will see that the person has not taken more than 2 or 3 pills out of the whole. And then, so the duration is key because you are challenging. It's like a war front. You are challenging these microorganisms with these drugs consistently. If the doctor has prescribed it 8 hourly, you are bombarding them constantly every 8 hours.
Bringing me to that. If we go on 8 hourly now, and somebody has to take, for instance, the doctor said, I was going to ask you that because some of us are guilty as well. That may be truthful. I can't help but tell the truth.
Wow,
yes. when the doctor say you must take this medication by 7 in the morning, and for instance, I took it 9:30 in the morning, what will happen?
Okay, depending on the dose.
Okay.
If you have to take a drug by 7 in the morning and you have skipped that time, you didn't take exactly at that time, you're taking maybe 2 hours later, and this drug is to be administered every 8 hours. It means that you start your 8-hour count from when you
So
took
I
the
have
drug.
to count until I finish the whole dosage.
Exactly.
That is hard.
And the golden rule with antibiotics.
Golden rule?
Yeah, of course, there's a golden rule with antibiotics. You take your antibiotics until they are out.
Wow.
So you must finish your antibiotics.
Finishing fine, but you know, the timing sometimes is not always favorable or to people working.
Yes. In that case, you have to have that interaction with your prescriber.
Okay.
For example, we just finished the fasting period for our Muslim brothers, and I had a lot of encounters with some patients, Muslim patients, and you know, you prescribe an antibiotic, or an antibiotic that is to be taken 8 hourly was prescribed, and then they tell you that they are fasting. It means that if they have to take the afternoon dose, they'll be breaking their fast. So what do you do? So in such cases, it's just necessary that you go back to the prescriber. Like I earlier mentioned, these antibiotics have duration of action. So some have longer duration of action than others. That's why you see some antibiotics are prescribed once daily. Some are prescribed twice daily, that's 12 hourly. And then some are prescribed
24 hours.
Yes, that's the one daily, 24 hourly. Then you have 8 hourly. Like Ampiclox sometimes for minor infections.
That one is the worst of all in Nigeria.
Yes.
Everybody knows exactly. Even the children, people just go and buy it and they take it anyhow they want.
You know, these are very powerful and very efficacious antibiotics.
Okay.
If they are used
rightly.
So if you have a situation where because of your work schedule or for some other reasons you cannot adhere to the frequency prescribed, then you have that interaction with your prescriber. Doctor.
Okay.
It can be changed to longer acting antibiotics such that you can just take once daily and then it will still get the same effect.
At that point, can you change? For instance, I started treating typhoid and malaria, and then I'm not able to meet up with the timing, and then in between that time, can the doctor now re-prescribe another one? Is that even possible?
That is very, very possible.
Okay.
But what is key in this conversation is that the doctor has to advocate or has to make that input or has to make that change. So you can actually see your doctor and then have the doctor make that change. But you making the change on your own, then we're going back to the same self-medication, of course. That wasn't...
Wow. And another thing I see in self-medicating is when it comes to sleeping pills. Now, we live in a world where people are troubled.
Yeah.
People have issues, problems everywhere. And then some of them just want to stay away from some of these issues. And you know, a lot of people too, they hustle a lot, the stress out there. And when they come in, they just want to go to bed and sleep peacefully. Now, do you think this is one of the major cause factor of rising self-medicating in our society?
Yes, of course. Sleeping pills. A lot of people have actually abused those drugs. And one key thing with the sleeping pills is they have a very narrow therapeutic index. What that means is that a little above the optimum dosage, and then you are off. You are off. In some cases, lethal. You can actually die off from sleep. Yes. Wow. If the dose administered is higher than the recommended dose. So for such medication,
no wonder you caught some poison. Yeah, I see why.
Of course, sleeping pills fall within that category of poisons. So for such medications, there is just no two ways about it.
Wow.
And especially with sleeping pills, like you mentioned, one of the reasons why somebody might want to sleep, you have anxiety disorders, you have depression,
heartbreak, a lot of things, a lot of problems.
So if you are taking a medication so that you just sleep, you are just treating the symptom. The main cause is there.
It's there.
So one of the effects of this self-medication is that a lot of people just give attention to the symptoms without actually attending to the root cause. And that's where presenting at a medical facility and having a professional see you and counsel you appropriately is key, because it's just, you're just scratching the surface of the problem while the real problem is there. And if the real problem is attended to or properly handled, then this symptom of sleeplessness will of course disappear. So it's just right for us to encourage the people to present to a facility, see a licensed professional, no matter how difficult or challenging that might be. It's just necessary so that you are sure that the root cause of the problem is handled. And if the root cause of the problem is handled, then the symptoms of course will just disappear.
And me, for instance, I really do not like sleeping pills. Now, anything that takes me off, makes me feel weak, sleep too much, because I feel like I have a lot to do. In fact, I woke up late this morning because I went to the hospital yesterday, like I told you.
Yeah.
I was given a medication. I woke up, I jumped out of my bed. Oh my God, is this medication I took? I was just quarreling with myself. What kind of thing is this? I'm late for work. But a lot of people don't see it from that angle. They just want to shut down. They just want to sleep peacefully. And then there's this I don't know, notion that self-medication may kill patients with high blood pressure, talking about some strong antibiotics. Now, how true is this, doctor?
Yeah, pharmacist.
Yeah.
Actually, there is a concept where we talk about drug interaction.
Okay.
It's a whole lot, but I'll try to just break it down a little so that we can get the picture where I'm going to. There is drug-drug interaction, where a particular drug interacts with another drug and then causes some adverse effects. Then there's the drug-food interaction, where the food you're taking while you're taking the drug also causes some effects. Either reduces the effect of the drug, increases the effect of the drug, or does a whole lot of other things. So, but with regards to, then there's a drug disease factor. There are conditions that a patient might have that would not allow that patient take some specific medication. It can either aggravate the problem or trigger other problems to come in. So with the lethality with you talked about hypertensive patients, of course. Yes. With antibiotics, there may not be a clear-cut interaction with hypertension, though, but it sure exists. For example, for somebody with hypertension, one of the drugs he should not take should be nicotine or any caffeine containing medication. Of course, because they have tendency to increase the blood pressure. So, and that also goes for a whole lot of other medications. So a hypertensive patient definitely should have specific drugs that he should not take. So that is why it is necessary that the patient history, medication history, is also key.
That is where the history comes in.
Yes, history is very key. While the prescriber or the health practitioner is attending to that patient, he needs to know if the patient has any pending health issues. And that also will determine the kind.
Yes, because there was this time we had, I went to a particular place and I saw church people, you know that thing they do, medical outreach. They just come and they bring in doctors. And then, there's a particular man they were asking the medical history. He said this, he said that, and he was giving a drip. I don't know, he was not feeling too well. And the next thing, the man was already going. And the doctor said, I asked you if you had this, you said no. And they called the wife. The wife said yes, but just because he wants to suppress the pains most time, he doesn't want to tell doctors. He just go ahead and take things he shouldn't be taking. So I saw that scenario. It was quite, I don't know, it was quite scary. Like the man was already going and they had to do a lot of things. You know, those things doctors do. The pharmacists came, they had to start neutralizing, do a lot of things. I don't know, but that was quite scary as well.
Well, the truth of the matter is a lot of patients don't completely disclose vital information to their doctors, and it has caused a lot of problems. Like in this case you're talking about, probably the patient is diabetic and then he's being transfused
Yes.
with a glucose containing
Yes.
infusion.
Yes.
And of course, that will spike up
Will
the
trigger it immediately.
and the glucose, and then might go into hyperglycemic shock and all of that. And it can cause problems. So it is very key that before a particular drug is prescribed, it's part of the clocking procedure. You need to know whether the person has some underlying medical condition. There's also drug history. What drugs have you taken for this condition in the past? Or what drugs have you been exposed to in the past? It's also very important, and it goes a long way to affecting the efficacy of the drug that will now be prescribed. So, like in our society, ciprofloxacin is one of the most commonly abused antibiotics. And today we have a lot of resistance.
I've never heard that before. Ciprofloxacin. Is it Ciprotab?
Yes.
Yes, that is one we're familiar with.
Okay, Ciprotab is actually a brand name. But the active ingredient is ciprofloxacin.
Okay.
So it's common. A lot of people just present with I have typhoid.
Yes, when I told somebody yesterday, my friend, he said, why didn't you just go and get Cipro and get the other one for malaria? What's the name? Just get those, and you don't need all these tests and waste of money and all that. Like, no, I have to be sure, because sometimes you could have other illness and you think it's just malaria and typhoid. The symptom might be the same.
Of course, that's very, very vital too. Two different kind of diseases can present
the same symptom, and then you're confused. You just think it's malaria.
In fact, some viral infections present as though they are bacterial infections.
Okay.
And if you just assume that these are bacterial infections and then you start bombarding antibiotics, you're just wasting your time, because it's actually viral. And not to digress though, but some form of infections are also self-limiting.
Okay.
Self-limiting in the sense that they can resolve on their own. The body has ability to fight it off.
Wow, that is interesting.
Eradicate it. So for such, you may not necessarily need to take any medication. Sometimes some of these diarrhea, some of the flu, they are self-limiting.
Okay.
The body has ability to combat it and eradicate it from. So you don't need to even expose yourself. For diarrhea, some of the diarrhea, you just need to just keep rehydrating.
Yes.
The normal ORS.
Yes.
Just keep rehydrating, and
that's all.
And that's all you need. But like with the snap of a finger, people
that's
have
because,
accessing
that's because like you made mention earlier that we have quick access to some of these medications, some of these drugs. People can just go by the streets, corners, and get anything they want. Even now, we're talking about the abuse of codeine, tramadol, that is quite destroying a lot of youths. You still see that you go to some pharmacies, you still be able to access them. I think you're not supposed to have easy access to these medications, but still, they still come and give you these drugs just because they want to sell. Yes, hold that thought. We'll be right back. We'll go on a quick break, viewers. Don't go anywhere. I'm still here with pharmacist Peter. Now, today's topic is self-medication, the do's and the don'ts. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
RTV London, in partnership with NTA TV Enterprise, present the maiden edition of the Nigerian Week in the capital of the world, London. A wonderful blend of entertainment, business, and networking, displaying a wide range of arts, national cash crops, financial products and services, and real estate for huge extra opportunity in diaspora. Look no further. The 36 states of the Federation, the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture, Trade and Investment, the Nigerian Film Corporation, and host of others will be in attendance. Date 15th to 21st of May 2023. Venue Lighthouse, Camberwell, Southeast London. For details, log on www.superradiotelevision.com/Nigerian Week or call +447 549 513 619 or +234 814 35.
Ladies, are you ready to shine? Here's a golden opportunity for you to show the world the queen in you, as the second edition of Face of SRTV Ladies Edition is about to begin. What are you waiting for? Register online with just 500 naira and stand a chance of winning a cash prize of 100,000 naira and the deal of becoming our ambassador. There will also be consolation prizes for second and third place winners. To register, kindly pay the registration fee and send your name, age, picture, and state of origin to this number 0906 895 2170. For more inquiries, please call 0907 400 7816.
RTV London, in partnership with NTA TV Enterprise, present the maiden edition of the Nigerian Week in the capital of the world, London. A wonderful blend of entertainment, business, and networking, displaying a wide range of art, national cash crop, financial product and services, and real estate. For huge extra opportunity in diaspora, look no further. The 36 states of the Federation, the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture, Trade and Investment, the Nigerian Film Corporation, and host of others will be in attendance. Date 15 to 21st of May 2023. Venue Lighthouse, Camberwell, Southeast London. For details, log on www.superiorradiotelevision.com/Nigerian Week or call +447 549 513 619 or +234 814 358 2.
Ladies, are you ready to shine? Here's a golden opportunity for you to show the world the queen in you as the second edition of Face of SRTV Ladies Edition is about to begin. What are you waiting for? Register online with just 500 naira and stand a chance of winning a cash prize of 100,000 naira and the deal of becoming our ambassador. There will also be consolation prizes for second and third place winners. To register, kindly pay the registration fee and send your name, age, picture, and state of origin to this number 0906 895 2170. For more inquiries, please call 0907 400 7816. Powered by SRTV London, the face of SRTV.
RTV London, in partnership with NTA TV Enterprise, present the maiden edition of the Nigerian Week in the capital of the world, London. A wonderful blend of entertainment, business, and networking, displaying a wide range of art, national cash crop, financial product and services, and real estate. For huge extra opportunity in diaspora, look no further. The 36 states of the Federation, the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture, Trade and Investment, the Nigerian Film Corporation, and host of others will be in attendance. Date 15 to 21st of May 2023. Venue Lighthouse, Camberwell, Southeast London. For details, log on www.superiorradiotelevision.com/Nigerian Week or call +447 549 513 619 or +234 814 358 2856.
Ladies, are you ready to shine? Here's a golden opportunity for you to show the world the queen in you as the second edition of Face of SRTV Ladies Edition is about to begin. What are you waiting for? Register online with just 500 naira and stand a chance of winning a cash prize of 100,000 naira and the deal of becoming our ambassador. There will also be consolation prizes for second and third place winners. To register, kindly pay the registration fee and send your name, age, picture, and state of origin to this number 0906 895 2170. For more inquiries, please call 0907 400 7816.
RTV London, in partnership with NTA TV Enterprise, present the maiden edition of the Nigerian Week in the capital of the world, London. A wonderful blend of entertainment, business, and networking, displaying a wide range of art, national cash crop, financial product and services, and real estate. For huge extra opportunity in diaspora, look no further. The 36 states of the Federation, the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture, Trade and Investment, the Nigerian Film Corporation, and host of others will be in attendance. Date 15 to 21st of May 2023. Venue Lighthouse, Camberwell, Southeast London. For details, log on www.superiorradiotelevision.com/Nigerian Week or call +447 549 513 619 or +234 814 358 2856. The Nigerian Week, celebrating the best of Nigeria from the rest.
From that break, this is Our Health, and I'm here in the studio live with Farm Peter EJ. And of course, today's topic is self-medication. He has been doing justice to this topic, and Doctor, well done. But before we move on now, I was going to ask you before the break, do you think the access to internet, because when people these days, I notice when they have headache, they tell you just go on Google now, you see how to treat headache, how to treat this. Now that is limiting people when we talk about going for lab, seeing expert. Do you think this is one of the major causes of self-medication?
Yeah. The technological age has actually helped medical practice very well, significantly, but it has also come with its own challenges on the side. Like I sometimes ago I stumbled on a video, never Google your symptoms. Like,
wow.
Yeah, so a lot of people just are so quick because of easy access to the internet. They just Google symptoms and medication pops up, and they go to a pharmacy just to buy the medications that they have seen on the internet.
On the internet.
And surprisingly, or funny as it might sound, some patients actually come to the hospital well armed with information to challenge
the expert,
to just challenge the expert, to find out if the expert actually knows what he's saying. Some of them, they're coming to score the expert. And after the expert has finished, consulting and making recommendation, you would hear, but I saw this, I was browsing, I saw this on the internet, and it's this, and it's this, and it's that, and it's that. Yeah. Even though there's a lot of information out there, access to it is pretty easy, it does not actually take the place of seeing an expert. Even though it might give the patient or the individual some little information about the condition he has, it may not actually be true, because from the internet, of course, it's garbage in, garbage out. A lot of people are putting things up there for people to read, and this information may not necessarily be correct, even though they are out there. So having access to the information is one thing, and then having access to the correct information is another thing. So self-medication actually can be made worsened by just going to buy a medication because it's there on the internet for that particular, because it can actually be wrong diagnosis. How are you sure that what is being suggested on the internet is actually what's going wrong with you, especially when there is absence of backing laboratory tests?
Yes.
So as easy as it may seem for a lot of people, they are saving costs for laboratory charges, they're saving costs of consultation. It's in the long run, it might do you more harm than good, because you might actually just be taking the right antibiotic for the wrong disease.
Yes, that's another thing I wanted to ask you. I know sometimes when we do some kind of, for instance, when people go for culture, I don't know what that means in the real sense, but when you go for that to lab and you do that, sometimes it comes to show the kind of medication you can take on that particular infection.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that science is something I know nothing about. But also
okay, if you allow me to.
Yes.
Culture is like growing antibiotic, growing microorganisms.
Okay.
In a broad sense, it's just growing them. Most times they take a sample.
Okay.
It could be throat swab, it could be some high vaginal swab, it could be blood sample, it could be stool, it could be anything. But you putting those microorganisms in a media where there is enough nourishment for them to grow.
Okay.
And so when they grow, you now analyze them under a microscope. Then you can identify which specific microorganism is growing there.
Okay.
Then there is a component of this test. It's actually, they call MCS, microscopy, culture, and sensitivity. So the microscopy has to do with the aspect where you now view the growth or the culture under a microscope. Then you can identify specific microorganisms. You know that this is Escherichia coli, this is P. aeruginosa.
Wow, the names.
Clostridium tetani. This is that. This is Salmonella typhi, and a whole lot of them.
The names.
So the culture just grows them. The microscopy helps you to identify
them.
Then there is a very important component of it also, the sensitivity, where this you have a plate and a antibiotic plate, where this plate is now challenged on this growth. So you see that they are challenging different antibiotics on this microorganism that has grown or that has been isolated. And then they draw a conclusion based on which of the antibiotic has eradicated this microorganism.
Wow.
And that is what the professional will act on to say, okay, based on this test, this antibiotic has completely eradicated this,
and so we recommend
this.
And this is why self-medication is not a good idea, because you might just think it's typhoid, and if you take Cipro, it will go. Or maybe, for instance, the culture we just talked about, you say, is this one so infection? I just take this one to go, and you don't even know whether or not you are growing those things or you are eradicating them. Wow, it's quite interesting. And also, there's this saying that if you want to provoke a pharmacist, say you don't want to take 2 sachets or what? What does that mean? I've been saying when I see a pharmacist, I'm going to ask them this question. Tell us.
All right. Thank you. That's actually indirect because for a lot of people, they walk into the pharmacy and then they just want to take Ampiclox. And 1 sachet, if you insist on them taking 2 sachets, and they would see the pharmacy just trying to make more money, but that's not true. Okay. In the real sense, the standard dosing for Ampiclox or ampicillin cloxacillin combination, as it is 6 hourly. So if you had to take a capsule every 6 hours, how many would you take in a day? That's like 4.
4.
That's like 4. So if you have to take it correctly, it means you are taking 4 capsules in a day. A sachet just has 10 capsules.
Okay.
And standard antibiotic treatment should be within 5 to 7 days. Like earlier I mentioned that the duration of treatment is key to avoiding microbial resistance, because you have to have treated it for the right duration, and you are sure that by the end of that treatment you have completely eradicated that microorganism. So if you are taking 4 capsules in a day, it means that a sachet of 10 capsules can just last you for 2 days.
2 days and a half.
So that's not even up to 5 days.
Up to 5 days.
So, but if you are taking 2 sachets, you have 20 capsules in 2 sachets, and then that can last you for 5 days because you're taking 4 capsules for 5 days. So the pharmacist has calculated and known how much of this drug you are going to need for this duration of treatment. So if you're telling the pharmacist that no,
I don't need it, just give me this, I'll be all right.
You're sending that signal to him that you are a candidate of antibiotic misuse, because you go and take that, and even if the symptoms disappear after 2 days, it does not mean that the infection is not there. And what this means is that by the time that infection, the few organisms that have survived that challenge, they go and mutate, they
reinforce,
they change their shape such that Ampiclox will not recognize them, because these drugs bind to specific receptors on the cell wall of the organisms. So they can go and change, and then change their shapes such that by the time Ampiclox is coming again, it's not recognizing and so it becomes useless. It no longer works. So we have to that you take it, this quantity, for the right period, so that we are sure that
whether or not the symptoms are no longer there, whether or not you feel fine, you have to just finish the treatment. Okay, doctor, before we let you go, you've done well, you've done noble to this topic today. But let's take a little bit straight to the economy. Do you think that the economy, we know we have economic issues here and there, and a lot of people will tell you, like somebody like I rightly mentioned, say, this money you used in doing this test, I feel like in this time we don't have money, just a waste. That money would have gotten you the medication. So do you think the economy too is a factor to people self-medicating?
Very, very huge factor.
Okay.
Yes, because people just want to save cost.
Okay.
They just want to save costs. They don't want to pay for consultation. They don't want to pay for lab tests. They just feel based on the symptoms I feel, I can just go buy antibiotics.
Wow.
So the economy is a factor. Poverty is a factor. People who cannot afford to fund all this and then go to fund buy medications also. And of course, with the inflation, the prices of medications are also rising.
That is what I saw yesterday.
Yes, the prices of medication are rising. In fact, almost every week, you see that prices of medications and other commodities in the market are changing. So the economic factor has actually played a role in people self-medicating.
Wow. Now,
as it is, it has also caused it has its own disadvantage because the patient will eventually spend more if he finds that medication he has bought is not the right medication or he's already resistant to that medication. He now has to buy the other one. And then he has not saved costs. So what the money you are trying to save by seeing a doctor and doing the test, you spend it.
Yes. So, now, before we go, doctor, just tell us what do you think people can do? I know you've said a lot, but just a little tips, advice before we let you go.
Yes, thank you very much. Before I leave the studio, I want people to know that the place of health practitioners in this society is not useless. You know, these people have gone through series of trainings.
Okay.
This is their field of authority. They know it.
Okay.
And they are licensed by law to give you the right information.
Okay.
So, disregarding their presence in the society or the work they do, to just go and self-medicate,
cause more havoc.
You'd only be causing more problems than good. And this antibiotic issue, I wish we can have ample time to talk about it because it's a whole.
Maybe in one of the other shows we could just do basically on antibiotic resistance.
Yes, that is very vital. It is key. But the thing is, no matter how difficult it is, no matter how economically strained people are, the place of seeing professionals can never be overemphasized. The place of specific laboratory tests to correctly diagnose a particular condition before medications are even introduced is very key. It might seem expensive from the beginning, but in the long run, you would have saved a lot of cost. You'd have taken the right medication, you'd have lesser period of hospitalization for people who are going to be hospitalized, and then you'd have reduced the burden of dependence. You would have saved yourself from having complication, because if you are treating the wrong thing, it means the condition will keep deteriorating and eventually you present at the hospital and break down. And in some cases, the outcome may not really be good. So the place of medical practitioners is key. I encourage people always ensure that you see a licensed professional before you are quick to accessing medications.
And of course, I know the government are really doing enough, but what's the advice? Because we see that people just walk by the street, get this medication, get these drugs, and they start taking, whether or not they are resistant already, they don't care. They just say, okay, I'm having these. They don't even want to go for a lab tests to check the symptom. They just feel like this is a symptom, so I don't need a lab test to know whether or not this is malaria, this is infection, this is this. They might even have serious illnesses and they think it's just a regular headache, fever, malaria, nausea, and all that. Now, what's your advice? Because government still needs to do more. People cannot just be going all the time self-medicating. That is why the developed country are way different from us. You can't just go there and be taken by
I earlier said that the laws are there. The policies are there. It's where we have a problem is proper enforcement. I think the government needs to do more through the relevant agencies. The Pharmacy Council of Nigeria is there. The drug law, NDLEAs are there. The NAFDAC is also there to regulate the efficacies of these drugs and to ensure that they are actually what they say they are. So if all these agencies of government can actually step up their game and ensure that this has easy access to certain medications is greatly reduced, it will go a long way. And like you mentioned about the pharmacist, I believe that a pharmacist, a trained pharmacist like myself, would not just give you medications for a dose.
Okay.
Like you see people just cut to
Cotton,
tablets,
yes.
you can never find that in a pharmacy. So as much as possible, I encourage people to also patronize licensed outfits, like the pharmacies where you are sure you are meeting a licensed pharmacist who would give you the right information. In most cases, where someone comes to the hospital to present complaints, what the pharmacist would do would be to refer that patient back to a hospital or to a lab for a proper test to be conducted before decisions on drugs are taken. So I encourage people to, as much as possible, access licensed or good outfits, not chemist stores or those people who hawk drugs on their head in motor parks.
That is even the annoying one, the ones that non-medical people in buses, in motor parks, selling drugs. How do you know about drugs?
These people, in fact, the efficacy of those drugs is a topic for another day, because they hawk them in the sun, they move from place to place.
You're supposed to put medicine or drugs in a cold environment.
You are not sure whether these drugs are, some of these drugs are even temolabai. Like if you expose them to excessive temperature, it denatures their active pharmaceutical ingredients and render them useless.
Wow.
So even storage of drug is another topic entirely that guarantees whether a drug is efficacious or not. So, but I would say that the standard rules that govern establishment of any pharmacy are there. And so you are sure that if you go to a pharmacy, you will have access to quality medications, and then you have access to a licensed professional. And people should take that into cognizance.
Well, thank you so much, pharmacist Peter Iche. You have done well, noble to this topic. Hopefully we'll bring you back to the studio. We have a lot of, now when it comes to health, we have a lot of health issues. People need to, I keep saying it, people need information when it comes to health. People need sensitization.
That's right.
You need to keep them abreast. A lot of people don't know. Some too, they do out of ignorance. They don't know.
That's correct.
Like we said, we're going to have another segment, another day, another topic for antibiotics. Like you just said, this explosion of drugs in the sun, people hawking drugs. You see one malam selling drugs, prescribing drugs. I don't know where that originated from. Yes. So we are so grateful. Thank you so much for doing justice to this topic.
Thank you for having me.
Viewers, thank you for being with us all through. Of course, we're going to bring Doctor next week again. You know, like what we said, your body is the only place you have to live in, so you must take care of your body, and that is where our health comes in. Thank you for staying with us. And just before we go, don't forget our Nigerian Week London that is fast approaching. You know how we do it when Nigerians we turn up somewhere. It's going to be fun. Let's talk about the music, the food, and of course the film and business opportunity we're going to be having there in London. Book your tickets, book your stand, and don't be left out. A lot of agencies, ministries, and of course, celebrities are already partnering with us. So be part of that event. And just before we go as well, hit on the notification bell, like our page here, our contact, and of course, invite somebody to the page. A lot of good things are happening here. While you are out there, you heard from doctors, stop this self-medication. It's not doing you good. Of course, sometimes so when you self-medicate, your body becomes resistant to some of these drugs. And at the end of the day, and like a doctor once told me that sometimes when you go like that culture we talked about, they will tell you this is the only thing this person can take. And then maybe by that time you've already abused that drugs, and then you is already resistant in your body. Now what becomes of that kind of person? These are some of the reasons you need to stop medication. You need to see an expert. The need, sometimes we want to cut costs, we understand, but sometimes, like I said, your body is the only place you have to live in, not the cars, not the houses. It's just your body you have to live in. So take care of that body, and while you are out there, stay hydrated. Of course, water, not alcohol, is good for your body. I'll see you again on our health next week. I remain yours truly, Princess KESSY. Have a nice day.
RTV London, in partnership with NTA TV Enterprise, present the maiden edition of the Nigerian Week in the capital of the world, London. A wonderful blend of entertainment, business, and networking, displaying a